So these were my enemies. I didn't go over them. They are the ogres. The ogres is quite a nighttime battle, it seems. Ogres are big, fat eaters of everything. They have their little buddies, the nobblers, which aren't quite goblins, but they aren't quite something else either. They have some lions in their army as well. Saber tusks. And this is their lord. He's not as impressive as our lord. So our catapult can't really see over those trees very well, so we'll put them over here. And then we'll line up the orc boys, like I mentioned at the front, to take the general charge. Our spider riders have this vanguard deployment, which allows them to deploy outside of our green starting zone. So we can go quite wild with that. We can even be behind the enemy lines to a certain extent, which is fun. Our speed is only 78 on our running away archers, and if we check out the enemy saber tusks, they are speed 95. So we have to be wary of them. You can even select a unit and hold down the space bar and see who's a bit of a threat to you. Whereas if I select something a bit mightier... Nope. Well, it depends, you know. See, for these guys, the big uns, none of these are a combat threat to them, but the Lord still is. So it very much depends on what you're targeted on and who you're targeted against. We'll put Azhag at the front here. And our wizard also needs to kind of be able to see if he's going to have the chance of casting a spell, which you can't see. It'll be over here on the right once we get into it. And the big uns will deploy a little bit further back so that they don't take the brunt of anything. The trolls are okay to stand in amongst the orcs. They are taller and bigger, but we don't want them to take all the clump on the way in, else they will try and run away. But we'll see in a minute that their leadership will go up once the battle starts, because they're standing near our lord.
Greatness in battle may only be reached through rigorous training. Be sure to position your troops accurately in battle, my lord. Drag out your formations for best effect.
So we don't really need to play these guys too much right now, we're just kind of waiting. But let's see if we can get our spider rider archers over there. We can do a little bit of harassment while the enemy's coming in. That'd help us out. See, the poison there has affected the enemies, ruining a lot of their stats, including 3 that you don't see on the stat bar. And they're set up to automatically try and skirmish, which is run away when the enemies are getting close to them. So we don't really need to manually play these forever. The enemies had a stalk unit that was hidden until it got closer. We'll use our single target Spirit Leech that I mentioned before in the spells on the enemy lord. Start charging the lads in.
Your troops come under fire, Commander. Have them find cover or eliminate the source.
Ready! Take it! Run, boys! Let's get some! Rush them!
These orc brigands will absolutely make mincemeat of these Noblar trappers. Hold the spacebar to showcase it. They are not a threat at all. I'll have our lord come over and cast a buff on our orc boys to give them more leadership, to keep them in the combat, and to give them magical damage. They also cause fear as well, like that, and they manage to run the enemy out of town with fear.
The enemy waver, my lord. Their troops begin to flee. Run the cowards down.
As the advisor says, when enemy troops run, and run them down quite easily. They're not defending themselves properly and they don't get their melee defense. But at the same time, you can kind of let them run and focus your troops on the enemies that haven't started to run and lower your casualties. So, I'll just pause it for a second. This is Azhag's War. I said we get a special version of it because of our leader. So we get the base weapon damage for all troops on the battle for 18 seconds. Extra armor, weapon piercing damage for the 18 seconds. 24 melee attack. Now melee attack, you can just see this balanced versus their defense. Melee attack is your chance to hit, so plus 24 chance to hit. Melee defense is your enemies, what they take off of that roll in order to dodge an attack. So it's just chance to hit and chance to dodge. But for Azhag's army, the units also cause terror, which makes them run and can cause their allies nearby them to run when they run, and causes fear, which causes a small amount of leadership loss on the enemies. And flavor text is quite good. Though the boys know that there's something's not right with the boss, they still react with manic enthusiasm for his calls for an almighty war. And there's the graphical effect for that. Everyone turns very, very greener and meaner for 18 seconds. I'm even going to bring my Shaman into the melee against the enemy Ogre boss, because the Ogre boss is less likely to run than all the rest of his troops. We can see here that generally this unit is down to 49 of the 120 that it started on, and it's getting kind of peppered, even by our own artillery here, I think.
Tired, mighty lord. Their exertions dull their ability to fight.
And they've run away.
Give them time to rest, even
Yeah,
amidst the thickest of battles.
We took them out of
The
combat a
enemy
little
commander
bit before they
runs
got
from the
crushed.
field, my lord, and a sorry spectacle it is too. His army will surely follow.
So just to pause it there for a second. See, normally in the game you would have to manually click to run everything down and click at things, but I find that part of the game particularly boring, so I actually have a mod on from a friend of mine who creates this, where we can select our units that aren't running, click this little button over here after the battle's over, and they will automatically charge after everything else and run them down. And I think we'll probably only manually play the rock lobber. So if we unpause it again, all of the rest of our guys are slightly faded out in their unit portraits, and they're just getting things done themselves. Let's go for this unit here with the rock lobbers. And yeah, we can speed this up a bit. Speeding it up does unfortunately remove the sound effects rather than put them in fast forward. As you can see here, we're getting some extra kills. There's 75 of them left out of 160. And that number's dropping each time the artillery lands. Thunk. Just told the artillery crew to drop the artillery piece, because else I was going to hit my own spider riders. Like I said, a very dark battle map. We'll have some brighter ones, I'm sure, over the course of the campaign, but a little bit hard to see some of the detail right now, even for me. A couple of enemy nobblers in there. Our troops are running after the three at that end, though. This is just something that Total War does. It's a bit weird. Like, these guys are clearly in range of the rest of the troops, but they're interested in killing the ones they're interested in killing. Looks like the enemy lord's going to get away on just a slither of health. Maybe we can cast a spell at him? I don't think we're in range though. We are not. So I'll just hit fast forward, like the maximum fast forward, and get out of this battle. and we'll be done.